This is the basketball show. What they gonna say next?
Yes, it is all thanks to TCL, 2K and News Corp. I'm Jo Healy alongside Shane Hill as always. Hammer, we have been treated to some amazing individual and team performances over this past week in the NBL and the NBA. You got a highlight to start us off?
I do. Devin Booker, one of my favourite players.
Are you about to steal my highlight?
No. You just asked me what it was.
I know.
You're going to set this up better if you're going to ask me this question. Devin Booker and Trae Young, two of the young superstars. They've just been unbelievable. Who would you have if you were starting a team? Just throwing this out.
Devin Booker, I think. He's bigger.
Well, you guys need to tweet us in. Tell us what you think. That's
a tough one.
It's a real tough one. That's why I asked it.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
So that's your highlight, though?
Yeah, well, they had superstar games. Their teams are through to the conference finals.
They've both been very,
Trae Young, how good's
impressive.
he been? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Knock off the Sixers. Trouble there.
We'll get to that a little more shortly. Let's get into the NBL and put it under the spotlight, though. The Grand Final series, we're expecting it to go that way.
Not everyone was expecting. I said it was going to be a clean sweep, and I got shot down from a lot of people saying that they were going to get swept.
If Perth were going to win a game, I think it was game one.
Yep.
They went down by 3. The result, not necessarily surprising given that Melbourne are 2-0 up, but the Wildcats have been very impressive.
The Wildcats are great.
Yeah.
The Wildcats have got the best culture in the NBL. We know that. And Trevor Gleeson's got the best system in the NBL. We know that as well. But they're just undermanned. I feel like United are toying with them a little bit, playing within themselves, as well as, Perth are fighting to be able to hang in there, and they've done such a good job. Game 3 is going to be a blowout, Joe. It's going to be a blowout.
What are we talking?
I reckon it'll have a 2 in front of it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a...
No? Double figures. Definitely double figures.
Yeah, I'm probably with you, but...
It could get nasty.
Who's impressed you so far for United?
Oh, they've just got so much talent. I mean, if we broke it down and knew the salaries of this Perth Wildcats team that's out there versus this United team out there, my guess would be that United could be paying 3 times the amount of Perth. So they've just got so much depth.
I hope that we can work towards this. I hope that this is something that the league can put out there because it would be so interesting.
Yeah, and they should be winning maybe even better. And again, like we say about Perth, you just got to be impressed with the way they fight. They just keep going and going and going.
One thing is an injury, one thing is an injury to JLA.
Yep.
For game 3, or in game 2 rather. Is that a concern at all?
They've got people who just cover him.
Yeah, okay.
They've got that much depth. He's going
a good through my list of questions here and points, and it's like, no, too much depth.
But he's good, and yeah, it could have an effect. But when you look at the front court and the depth of what Perth have got, then it's not going to affect United. They just keep rolling them out.
Clint Steindl and Luke Travers coming back. Does that help for Friday night?
Definitely helps.
Yeah,
definitely helps.
I'm trying to.
No, it helps.
Travers
has been great. He's been a shining light, and he's going to be a star of the future. We know Steindl can put some points on the board, which is what they've needed. So they need that sort of depth, but it's just going to be tough.
Okay, so next question. I think it was Dan Ewing who tweeted something about if Bryce Cotton was playing, this wouldn't even be a series. It would be the Wildcats sweeping United.
Oh, cut it out. I mean, that's ridiculous that you would think that they would sweep United. If Bryce Cotton was in, then we've got a ball game.
On, though.
Oh,
yeah.
Big time game on. And there's no way I'd be predicting a sweep for United if Bryce Cotton was playing. I said that at the start. Bryce Cotton is one of the best imports to ever play in our league. He is a freak. And everyone else plays better when he's there. Yeah. Like when Bryce Cotton went out, and I said it on the show, people were thinking that Mooney was he's going to pick it up and take his game to another level. Mooney was the player he was, in the All-Star 5 because of Bryce Cotton. He's not the sort of guy you're just going to roll it in. He's going to go get you 25, 30 points. Whereas Bryce Cotton, we've seen him get 40 in a grand final game. He's the sort of guy that just makes it happen. And without him, it was always just going to be really tough.
All right, we'll see what happens Friday night and not Sunday, according to you. Yeah. Let's move on to our TCL starting 5. Paddy Mills, fair dinkum about Tokyo. I love that Director Dave put that in. So he's been in the States working out, to Daryl Braithwaite, to the Hilltop Hoods, to Jimmy Barnes. He's in his Aussie kit. His trainers, his wife are in Aussie kit. It's amazing. It is so good to see.
Don't you love it? Paddy's the best. He is. I mean, he's sending that message of what it means to be able to play for Australia. That's the Boomers culture. The passion that he has for his off-season to get back with his Boomers teammates is off the charts. It's fantastic, and it sets a tone for all of the Boomers coming through. And Paddy plays his best basketball for the Boomers. You know, he could go and lead
the tournament.
In, he
looks focused.
Yeah, and he's had, a good season. He's had plenty of time to rest. Now he's getting ready again. He's going to be cherry ripe for the Olympics, and he could lead the Olympics in scoring again.
So, quick question. Josh Giddey and Duke Reith are in the States training together. Would you like to see them in Aussie kit as well? Or is that being a little bit too presumptuous?
I think it's hard for them because they're still trying to make the team.
Yeah,
you don't want to act like, I'm already part of the Boomers. So I sort of think
it's a funny one. But, I mean, they can start instilling that culture now. They're part of the camp. They've worked their way and earned their right to be there. But
once they make the team, that's how they will be. Yeah. And again, Joey and Paddy, these guys just pass that on. They just ooze passion for the Boomers, which you can't teach that.
Well, one team that the Boomers are going to be up against, hopefully, at some stage, gold medal game ideally, Team USA are shaping up rather nicely.
Yeah, just KD.
He's reportedly at this stage, but positive reports, Booker.
Lillard, Tatum,
yep.
Green. Yeah, that's tough.
That is
really tough.
Very tough.
Yeah, can't wait. But that's what you want. You want the best players. You want the best players in the world playing at that time. Mm-hmm. We saw the best ever team in 1992. First time they sent a dream team. And you don't want this just to peter away where they're sending, the third-rate sort of teams, even though they would be great for the Americans. But
it's a scary prospect, though.
Yeah, it's great. I love, and as a player, you want to play against the best and try and beat the best.
I want to talk to you about the Nets. All of a sudden, the NBA championship is wide open because the favourites have been bundled out in what was an amazing Game 7 against the Bucks.
Yeah.
Did that surprise you? What did you make of it?
Surprised me. I haven't liked Harden all the way along. I thought they might be able to do it. I know you haven't liked him, but I thought he would come through and do more than what he did. He was terrible in that
kind of
last
playing
game.
On one leg.
Oh, cut it out. Once you're out there, you're out there. There aren't any excuses. He did enough to get up, 20 shots or something? Come on, he's playing with KD. If you can't win with that team, even though Kyrie's out, that's what he went to be able to build, to be able to make it happen. I don't feel sorry for the Nets. I don't want to see the Nets build this team, and I want to see Phoenix or the Jazz and Atlanta building these teams that haven't put 3 or 4 big-time superstars together where they're just creating these mega teams to try and win a championship. I don't want to see the Nets win.
Very quickly, James Harden.
What were you going to say?
He earned a bit more of my respect in watching him. James Harden, in watching him.
He didn't get in a stance once on defense.
And because he's injured, but
he's injured. Whatever. He wanted you to think he's injured. That's what he wanted because he's got a built-in excuse. That's the way he is.
Okay. Who wins from here then?
I don't know. It's a flip of the coin.
It is, right? 2 teams have never won it. The other 3 haven't won it in 38
That's great
years.
though, right?
It's great. It's awesome for the league.
I love watching Phoenix play. I hope Chris Paul comes back soon. I love Devin Booker.
Right.
They are a tough
I've got way
team.
too many bits of paper here, but
and
I need this.
I want to see Giannis. I like them.
Yeah.
Everyone's hated on them. They've probably snuck through because of other teams.
I don't think everyone's been hating on Giannis.
I didn't.
Or the Bucks.
Yeah. I don't know. They sort of, I don't know what it is about them, but yeah, I'd like to see them do well.
All right. So moving on, playing your star players. So an example of this, we're talking about Game 7, Nets and Bucks. Pat Connaughton was the only Bucks player to score off the bench. 23 minutes, 9 points. The Nets had no points off the bench in that game. They played 2 players. Jeff Green, 13 minutes. Landry Shamet, 7 minutes. Okay, that's not every game. So the Suns and Clippers, they played their benches. But just in terms of a contrast to how the NBL coaches use their players on the bench.
Don't get me rolled up, Joe. Don't get me rolled up.
You've got me rolled up, so now we're throwing it back at you.
It's true though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
unbelievable
stark
how different it is. And Chris Golding in Game 2 of the Grand Final series had played 12 minutes with whatever, 8 minutes to go or something like that. How does he play half a game? He had 3 fouls, but then I look at the NBA,
that's one thing.
but that doesn't matter. Why he doesn't have 4 fouls? It's the last quarter. What are you saving him for? What?
Sorry. Yeah,
I'm saying as a key player, like everyone wants to win a championship, and you're prepared to sacrifice to be able to win a championship. But the best players want to be able to play when it counts as well. They want to be able to play. They're like Chris Golding will never say that, but he doesn't want to play 20 minutes. There's no doubt he doesn't want to play 20 minutes. If he can't play 30 to 35 minutes, like I don't know. And they're going to win a championship, and everyone's going to say it's great and everything else, and the bench got plenty of court time, and it is. Well done to them. But I don't know. It's just in the NBA, they're playing their best players. Like KD played 53 minutes the other day. Now, that's the extreme.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that all the NBL players should be playing 40 minutes a game, but should be playing more than 30.
Something to keep an eye on, maybe.
They're not happy. Game that I commentated the other day when Dean Vickerman went to take out Chris Golding, and he's like, no, give me a minute. And Dean's like, nah, you're out. And
We'll get to this a little more later in the show, but very quickly, will Golding be at United next season?
Well, he's contracted. I was assuming
That's not
he will.
my question.
Well, I don't know. I think there'll be other players leave United. They're definitely not going to be the same team. We know
He still
that.
hasn't answered my question.
Well, he's contracted. I'm not suggesting he's going to break his contract,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Finally, Dyson Daniels has sort of shrugged off the NBL Next Stars program, and he's going to play in the G League. Do you like the move? Would you have rather seen him play in Australia?
Well, I don't know enough about the other league. I don't know the finances involved, but this is a kick to the
It's a blow
Jats Crackers.
for the NBL, yeah.
It is for the NBL. This is a massive blow. Dyson Daniels is a really good kid, massive upside. He's got that NBA body. He's going to be a star. Still needs to work on his shot, but so does Ben Simmons. This kid's only a teenager, so he's going to be a star. I love him, and it really is a blow for the NBL that he's decided to go away from the pathway that has had guys like LaMelo Ball go through it.
You've got to think that the money or the future prospects,
Politics
it
involved.
must be
Behind the scenes stuff of publicity and building him up and the financials and
there's plenty involved. Anyway, 2022
didn't hurt Josh Giddey.
Prospect. No, exactly. Let's just hope that he can maintain sort of his place in the Australian system moving forward, because we need that culture to kind of start building from now.
Does well. Good luck to him. It's just disappointing for the NBL. Would have liked to have seen him in the Next Stars.
Yeah. Well, it's time to go in depth thanks to 2K, and this week we welcome back Jazz owner Mike Cannon-Brookes. Mike, hello to you. Thanks for coming back again.
Thanks for having me back.
Got to ask, how tough was that watching the Jazz bow out to the Clips? Game 6, roller coaster of a playoff series?
It doesn't get much tougher than that, I've got to say, on the day itself. Yeah, it was pretty... look, sport's about highs and lows, but that was a pretty low moment, I've got to say. There was a fair few tears. I suspect over there it was a lot harder than it was watching on TV from here. But look, that's the way it goes, right?
Such a big year, though, wasn't it? I mean, the team showed so much, top of the table for a long period of time. What were you most proud of?
Most proud of the boys. I think they played as a team, just massive heart in that group. Such a tough, crazy year. Injuries, COVID. Like, people don't understand how much COVID testing was going on there twice a day. You're travelling so much, you can't rest. You've got to get up early to get your first COVID test. Like, it's just an insanely hard year for every team. And look, they kept their spirit. They played as a team. Had lots of stretches of series of all-stars out like throughout the season, and they didn't stop all the way through to, like, you know, watch Donovan in Game 6. Guys playing on 1.5 legs and dropped 39-99. So he's all heart, that kid. It was fitting.
Didn't obviously reach the ultimate goal, but as you say, it was an amazing season anyway. From an ownership point of view, is it still considered a success?
Look, I think it's too early to think about that. I think as a whole, they should hold their heads high, right? I think you zoom back 6-8 months, it would have been like, you know, overachieved last year. You can always have big dreams and aspirations, but it's been a hell of a rollercoaster year for everybody in the whole league. So, look, I think we played hard. We showed how Utah can play basketball, and as a fan, lots of highs and entertaining moments. Right, it was a hell of a year. Series of trophies in the cabinet, defensive player and sixth man of the year and stuff. So. No season ends how you want it to end, I suppose, in some way, but at the same time, pretty happy with how the team played, and we'll keep building.
Talking of ownership, Joe is a massive fan of Dwayne Wade. Now, he's come on. Now, word has it, when we were seeing him courtside, there was an empty seat.
Yeah.
Word has it that was your seat that they left empty.
No, he was
Is
saving
that
it
right?
for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
So how did you
me
feel
or Joe.
seeing Dwayne Wade, that empty seat, and you're sitting back in the lounge room being able to watch it?
Yeah, look, as I said, I appreciated the boys leaving it open for me. A little bit tough to watch on TV, I've got to say. Whenever you saw it on TV, or my sister-in-law and brother-in-law go to all the games, and so they'd send photos. Here's your chair, etc. So I was like, oh, thanks. But yeah, look, I think D Wade's going to be an awesome addition to the team, to the ownership group, and it brings a huge depth of knowledge and everything else. And he's just a legend of a bloke. I've got to say, he's super thoughtful, super deep, same age as all of us, so he's early 40s. Obviously brings a huge depth of experience to the team, and we're trying to build winning teams on and off the court.
Have you had much to do with him yet from that ownership progression moving forward point of view?
Yeah, look, we've had a bunch of chats. Obviously, we meet as a group every so often, and now will probably be the real time. I think for the next little while, see what's going on next. And I haven't been able to get over there all year, so it's been an odd year in that sort of sense. But look, a lot of decades to come. Well, I'm sure we'll spend no shortage of face-to-face time over the years, and I think he brings a new flavour. Look, we're really trying to think about how we do this really well.
Obviously, the players will get some time off now, but from a management point of view and ownership point of view, what's the process? Because I imagine there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of planning, everything else. From now, what happens?
Oh, look, I think we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's too early to do anything at the moment. Obviously, we've got the Olympics, so that's probably the biggest thing. We've got a whole lot of players going off to play the Olympics. Rudy in France, Bogey, Joe, obviously. So who knows what the Americans do? I think the Americans have got a squad of 60 or something, don't they? So they've got to cut it down somehow. That'll be the next port of call, and then we'll get through all that. And next year starts October, I think, end of October. So not that long. Another compressed off season. So
You're obviously on board the Boomers train with the green and gold swag today. Love
it. It's my dual purpose swag.
Have you?
I'm a big supporter of the green and gold. If you see the new gold Jazz jerseys, they call them yellow. I'm like, no, they're gold. They're gold.
See any bags around with any Jazz?
No.
Oh, if you want some, I'll bring some swag next time for sure.
Please do. Have you spoken to Joe specifically about how he's feeling, I guess, after the season and then moving forward with the Boomers?
Oh, you guys will get Joey on yourselves. Look, I think he'd tell you himself, he's probably pretty gutted about it, right? It takes a while for this sort of thing to sink in. I know he's super passionate about the Boomers. He's Australian first, which is awesome. We've got a hell of a squad. If we can, everyone's prep's going to be unusual, I think. Every nation's going to have an unusual prep. So hopefully we can get as good a prep as we can and show up and really give it some stick. Like, I think we've got a really good chance on
You reckon
paper.
Ben goes?
No inside mailman. I hope so. He definitely had to us. But even Thibel's looking awesome.
Yeah.
So there's a fair few. Paddy will bring a lot of history and a lot of spirit. So I think we've got a great chance, and I can't wait to see some of the Jazz boys up against other Jazz boys. I think.
Yeah, exactly. What do you do as an owner?
A few of them are in our pool, so it's going to be super interesting.
Will you be sitting on the fence, or will you have the Australian
Sitting
flag?
on the fence?
I think,
I know, but there's a vested interest,
Don't worry about
obviously.
France or any of these other countries, Joe.
We saw that in the World Championships, didn't we? Look, there's only one country that I'll be supporting, that's for sure. But I'll certainly be watching for a bit of. I bet there'll be a bit of. Look, Joe's been known to have a little bit of
Stick.
chit chat on the court.
Yeah.
you can be sure there'll be a little chit chat if he's playing against his own teammates. There'll be.
Isn't he known as the most underrated shit stirrer in the league? I feel like that's what the commentators.
Is he underrated? I don't know. He's underrated.
Well, that's what they say. Maybe they're.
He's done it since he was a teenager. He couldn't shut up.
So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. By the way, whoops.
On court, off court. Look.
Yeah, the whole lot. But we love it. It's good.
Yeah,
it's part of the game, and he always does it in a good spirit. He's never mean-spirited about things and stuff like that. So that's good. No, I think that the Boomers will be fantastic. Let's hope we can get a medal.
Have you managed to have a look at some of the other young Aussies coming up? Your Josh Giddey's, Jock Landau, what he's been doing here in the NBL. What do you make of the next crop that's coming through?
Look, I say this all the time, but I think Australian basketball has a bright future, right? Josh has had a great first season, and as long as he keeps developing, looks like he's playing better at the end of the season than he was at the start, right? He's getting better every game. That's what you want to see. I reckon Jock should get an NBA jersey somewhere. He's got that hunger, right? It's just whether you can get a break, get a start, get into a team somewhere and work your way up. And it's a big risk, I assume, for the guys over here. Trying over there doesn't work out. It's pretty hard. So, look, I hope some of them can get more starts. I think generally you're seeing more international players coming a bit later in their careers with a bit more proof points, whether they're coming from Europe or from Israel. So you'd have to think they have a good chance. And look, any pathways between Australia and America is a good thing as far as I see it. Right? We've had coaches go over now. We've had even the guys that played in the NBL last year. Obviously, LaMelo getting Rookie of the Year. That's going to reflect well in terms of it didn't hurt his career to come here at all. Quite the opposite. Dayshawn Tate had a pretty ripper of a season. So, yeah, look, that's awesome. More pathways.
Last one for me. Who wins it? Who wins the NBA from here? So wide open, isn't it?
It's anyone. Probably depends on injuries and everything else from here. That'd have to play a lot of factor. You'd imagine fatigue would be pretty interesting as well. How many people have played? Suns have had a good amount of rest now.
Yep.
Clips had a series of long series.
Chris Paul has too.
Yeah.
We'd love to see Chris Paul get a ring. I feel like that would be a real fairy tale story to come out of the teams that are left.
Yeah.
Look, I think any of the teams that are left, there's a fairy tale to be told. That's almost the great thing about it at this point. They're all fantastic. You'd love to see Giannis get a ring. He's got a lot of haters out there, and if he kind of made it through all the gauntlet that he's had to go through, that'd be pretty good. I love the way Trae Young plays. The kid's just
tough,
ice cold, and he doesn't care about being the villain. And he's super talented. Yeah. And so, look, any of them would be good. I think it'll be some amazing basketball.
Before we let you go, we touched on the show about what Utah are doing in the community, providing scholarships to students for every win that you had during the season. Can you just, I guess, explain how involved you are in that and how you see the benefits in the community too, I guess?
Look, I think the way that we think about the NBA is a huge platform, right? And it's got such a broad ability to change attitudes and other things, and that's fantastic. And so we keep thinking, what can we do? That was one of our programs this year. Gave away a full college scholarship, which in the US is a big deal, right? 4 years, full sort of room board, everything for every win, and the players got right behind it. The whole organisation's right behind it, and if you haven't seen, there's a video where the players, told the recipients, so nice. And it's just awesome. So to have a platform to be able to do that sort of thing is amazing. Yeah. And I'm sure part of the off-season chats will be what else can we do next year. Hopefully we can take it a bit international and think about other things that we can do to contribute to the community. It's hard to imagine over here what the Jazz represents in Utah. Again, if we can keep pushing forward that sort of thing and do a lot of good along the way, it's an amazing side benefit. So it's really, really been nice. And as I said, the players being right behind it makes all the difference. This is a full team effort.
Well, we saw the videos, mate. We had them on the show. We were right into it. It's fantastic how much you can actually change through sport in the community and give back. So we're proud of everything that you do with the Jazz and your involvement. And there can only be one winner, but there's so many other ways to be able to win from basketball. So congrats to you, mate. Well done.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no, always good to chat, and hopefully we can speak to you next year before you head over to the States again. When COVID
hopefully we get to go and see a game next year in person.
All right, it's time for Points Made. Thanks to TCL, we'll bring in former NBL MVP Derek Crocker, as we do every week. Right, guys, I've asked you to come up with 3 NBL players that you think could potentially benefit from off-season moves. D-Ruck, will come to you first. Who have you got?
I've got Isaiah Leafa going to the Adelaide 36ers. The 36ers will need a point guard to run the show with the departure of Josh Giddey to the NBA. And who better than Leafa? He's shown the skills, Shane. He's shown the courage, and he's shown the IQ to be able to take over a team. Now, I know I was on Kyle Adam's bandwagon early in the season, but I think Adam can remain where he is. Leafa to Adelaide.
Well, that's interesting. No doubt Leafa will get picked up somewhere. Not sure whether it'll be Adelaide or not. For me, it's Mitch McCarron. He's got his championship. Don't worry about that. Now he's about to get paid and he's going to move on. I think he might go back to Brisbane, but there's also a few whispers that he might be the one going to Adelaide. So watch this space, but he'll be the first to move from United after a title.
Well, I like that move for Mitch McCarron, but here's another big move, Shane. Scotty Hobson to leave Melbourne United. Just like McCarron, Hobson will have secured himself a title, and now he can go back to New Zealand and become an MVP frontrunner again. We see his game starting to come back late in this season. Hobson to the Breakers, perfect move on both ends.
Well, I'm with you on Hobson moving, but I reckon he's a better fit in Perth. Can you imagine putting Bryce Cotton, Hobson, and then Mooney together? They'll have a new coach. Talk of Trevor Gleeson not being there. Imagine starting with those 3 players. Perfect mix, because Hobson's shown that he's one of the better players in the competition, but he's prepared to play a role as well.
Well, I think you forgot about the fact that Perth already have Blanche, Phil, and Steindl, so I think that might be too jammed up. I hope you do a better job assembling your ladies' team, Shane. The final one is a big one, and it is Corey Webster to the Sydney Kings. I told you early in the season, I don't like the two Websters together. They're talented players, but each needs its own space. Ty can remain down in New Zealand. And Corey, off of the back of Vasiljevic's Achilles injury, which is going to take some time for him to get that right, Webster's a perfect piece to slot in there, Shane. That makes the Kings quite potent offensively. What are your thoughts?
Well, no doubt Corey fits anywhere where they've got a pure point guard. He can score in any system. So wouldn't be surprised to see him move. My last one, though, is for the Jack Jumpers. No, there's a lot of fans down there in Tassie looking forward to see who they're building their team around. It's going to be Nick Kay and Mitch Norton. They're going to move again together. They've played at Townsville, Illawarra, Perth. Kay will get the big bucks. They'll end up getting a little bit more for Norton with Trevor Gleeson going, and I think that'll be a good little combo down south.
There are reports Norton is on his way to Tassie, so you might be onto something there, Hammer. Just before we move on, guys, you've mentioned Mitch McCarron, Scotty Hobson. We know Jock Landale probably won't be at United next season. Hammer, what does Melbourne United's roster look like next week? They're going to win the championship, and then all of a sudden, will they be in a rebuild?
Well, they've got the money to be able to rebuild straight away. They were just trying to get a championship. They were able to spend big bucks and attract the right people to be able to do it. And it was great for somebody like those guys because they were able to win their championship. Now they'll move on in different directions. Landale will go overseas and they'll have to put the feelers out and spend big bucks. What do you reckon, D?
Shane, I see over the weekend, again, you were on Dean Vickerman's case about not giving Chris Golding the time that he needs. Maybe Golding makes a move out of there. I think, though, that, as you said, Shane, there's no need for United to rebuild, so to speak, in the traditional sense. They're still going to be a power because they have capital, and that's the bottom line. Money talks.
All right, guys, let's move to the NBA. The 76ers knocked out of the playoffs by the Hawks. Questions now being asked of Ben Simmons and whether he'll be in Philly next year. At this present moment, Derek, what is Simmons' trade value?
A whole lot lower when they could have gotten James Harden earlier in the year. James Harden was out there for the Sixers almost in a straight-up exchange, and the Sixers weren't able to close the deal. Now, at the back of this playoff run, I think Ben Simmons' trade value has really plummeted. Look, you still got to make the salaries almost match, but I just don't think there'll be a lot of takers based on his playoff performance. And it's not this year, Shane. This is a third year running where he hasn't been able to get the job done in the playoffs when it matters most.
Well, the only certainty there is that he will be traded. And, you know, we've been talking about it for years, whether Embiid and Simmons actually work, whether their games work, their personalities work, and it's proven that they just don't. The other thing coming into play that hurts his trade value is just his free throw shooting. I mean, he's gone from 70% in the playoffs 3 years ago to 57% last year to 33% this year. His numbers have gone from 17 to 12 in 3 years. This is a superstar that we thought was going to be going the other direction and averaging mid-20s. This is a number one pick. So you're right, his trade value down. Interesting to see where he ends up. I would have liked to have seen a Kemba Walker and Simmons trade with Boston. Not sure how the numbers go with that one, but I think both teams would have benefited.
Well, guys, Hacker Simmons has been pretty ugly, let's be honest. What can the rules change? Does the NBA need to align itself with the FIBA rules, do you think?
Well, I pointed this out on Twitter that this has always been the case. This isn't the first time we've seen this. This goes back 25, 30 years of hacking Shaq, hacking whomever isn't good from the free throw line. The thing is, though, you know what Shaq did, Shane? He hit his free throws when it mattered. He may have been a 57, 58% career free throw shooter, but in the final 2 minutes of games, Shaq was pretty reliable from the free throw line. Work on your skill set. Make free throws. It is one of the most fundamental skills you can have in the game. It wins or loses championships. Just got to be better as a player.
And you don't change the rules to bail out somebody that shoots 33% from the three-point line. We've got under 12 kids that can make 8 out of 10. Cut it out. And talk about going to FIBA. FIBA's got their own problems with this rule. We think that the FIBA needs to change that allows you in the last few minutes that you should be able to put people to the free throw line. So, the NBA is too mature just to chop and change on rules just based on a couple of guys that can't make free throws. Cut it out.
Well, it's clearly a mental issue for Ben Simmons. Hopefully he can take some time, work it out in time for Tokyo, hopefully. Derek, always good to chat. We'll speak to you next week.
See you next week.
See you, mate.
Well, it's been a big show. Thank you, as always, to TCL, 2K and News Corp. Hammer, we finally got everything.
Just want to clean things up over here, Jojo. Told you it was going to be a sweep, didn't I, huh? You didn't want to believe me, did you?
We'll see what happens.
You did not want to believe me.
See you guys next week.
See ya. Till next year.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.